Today's video is inspired by Mindspo series about top 10 rules for self-love. In this video series, they actually share clips and interviews from famous people like Oprah, Ariana Grande, Zendaya, and they share their top 10 rules for self-love. And I was so inspired. I did a deep dive on your channel. Thank you so much for these videos. But I was so inspired by this because even though I'm no Oprah, and I'm definitely no Zendaya, as a mental health therapist, I know a lot about helping teenagers improve their self-love. I also have had my own self-love journey. If you're interested in hearing about that, let me know in the comments. If not, I'll keep it to myself. My name is Mallory Grimste. I am an actual mental health therapist that specializes in working with teenagers. So I know a lot about self-love, and I'm ready to share with you my top 10 rules for self-love that I sat down and figured out after watching that series. So my very first rule is you have got to prioritize and maintain your basic self-care. Self-care is like of the utmost importance. If you are not taking care of yourself, other people won't know how to care for you, and you won't know how to communicate your needs moving forward. So if you want to love yourself and you want to improve your relationship with yourself, it's really important to take care of all of those basic self-care needs. So I'm not necessarily talking about the luxurious self-care that we all love and enjoy, doing face masks or painting your nails or buying a new car. Nothing like that, though that is very important to self-care, and it is important to splurge every now and again. I'm talking about the very basics, like making sure that you take care of your hygiene, that you are getting well-rested sleep, that you are keeping yourself well-fed and your nutrition is solid. So check in on those basic self-care needs and make sure that you are staying on top of that. And once you have shown self-care for yourself, my second rule for self-love is showing appreciation. Showing appreciation to yourself and your body and for your own capabilities, your emotional experiences, all of that, but also showing appreciation and expressing that to others as well. We often take for granted what we appreciate. We assume that because we appreciate these things that other people know that we appreciate them. But it's sometimes really good to go out of your way and let them know very clearly, kindly, and directly, which leads me straight into my third rule for self-love, and that is to be kind. Oh my goodness, kindness is so important. When you can just be a kind person, it makes everything smoother and gentler. Oftentimes when we feel frustrated or upset or really passionate about something, that can be a little off-putting to people, and now they're paying much more attention to the emotions that you are putting out there and not necessarily what your request is or what your boundary is or whatever it is that you're trying to express. So if you can be kind, it might be hard to be kind in all of your interactions, but in the majority of your interactions, or if you find yourself being unkind, like pausing and course correcting that will make a huge difference. And when you put kindness out there, people will be kind to you in turn. It's really difficult to be unkind to somebody who's so kind. You kind of feel bad about it, right? Showing kindness to yourself and to other people will help you improve your self-love relationship. So part of being kind also stems from my next rule for self-love, which is staying curious. Oftentimes when we find ourselves assuming or filling in the blanks without actually fact-checking or considering other possibilities, we can land ourselves into some pretty troublesome negative downward spirals. How many times have you texted somebody and are expecting an immediate response or a fast response, and they don't respond for many hours or even many minutes? Stressful, right? Suddenly we have created all sorts of scenarios like, oh my gosh, what if they're hurt? What if they've been in an accident? Even worse, what if they've forgotten about me? Oh, it does not feel good. So instead, before you have all the facts, don't fill them in. You might consider them, but also stay curious to other more positive possibilities Perhaps their phone battery died and they thought that their phone was charging, but it wasn't plugged in all the way. Perhaps they're needing to save their data for something. Perhaps they're not in a good spot where they can readily text you back immediately. There are a variety of reasons that somebody might not be behaving in a way that we could understand or that is upsetting to us. So staying curious to other potential possibilities is going to be a key ingredient to improving self-love. One of the ways that I really like to practice curiosity is by playing the what if game. This is a game that I like to play by myself with other people where you literally like set a timer, like say for 6 minutes, and you think of all the worst case possibilities or scenarios. You know, what if they died? What if they're hurt? What if they did forget about me? You just kind of go down that negative spiral. It just kind of helps like unearth some of that and validate that, you know, these are possibilities. The likelihood of them actually being true might not be as accurate, but like you want to give yourself some credit for even considering some of these negative possibilities. Then set a timer for like maybe a minute and you think of all the neutral possibilities. These are things that don't necessarily have a strong emotional charge one way or the other. They just kind of are. So like, I don't know, what if they didn't charge their phone? What if they are texting me back right now? You want to move on to all of the positive possibilities. So for this, I would double the time that you set your timer for the negative possibilities, because it takes a little more energy and effort to train ourselves to think positively, because we are primed to consider the negative. It's all about safety. If you set an alarm for 6 minutes for the negative, I want you to set an alarm for 12 minutes for the positive round. So like, what if they're not texting you back because they're actually out buying you flowers? What if they're thinking of you right now? What if they actually haven't forgotten about you and in fact they're in the middle of planning something really nice to do for you? Lots of different possibilities here. So consider the positive too. And again, go wild here. It doesn't have to be realistic, just like the negative ones didn't necessarily have to be realistic. Just want to like give some practice, staying curious that there's more than one option. Don't lock into an automatic response as being actually factually true 100%. You want to stay curious. And you have to be okay with making mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. Life is not meant to be perfect. It's meant to be messy. That is how we learn and grow as human beings and individuals. And if we never made mistakes, we wouldn't have the opportunity to learn and up-level and adjust or maybe improve something that caused that mistake to begin with. I would absolutely allow yourself to make mistakes. I might even intentionally encourage you to go out and make a mistake on purpose. A small mistake. Like, don't make a big mistake like showing up to your SAT test an hour late. That's don't do that. But maybe, you know, practice like walking around with 2 mismatching socks and seeing if anybody notices, or maybe like forgetting to paint one of your nails and see if anybody notices. Get comfortable making mistakes. So when you make mistakes, you actually improve that loving kindness feeling to yourself, and it reminds you that you're human and that it's okay. More often than not, we can repair from mistakes that we've made. Not always, it's not an absolute, but more often than not, there are workarounds around that or ways to improve things moving forward. Now, I know in today's world and age, people love gossip. People love talking about other people. People love considering like why somebody did something. People love trying to like figure things out together. If you happen to come across gossip that concerns yourself, ignore it. It's not for you to hear. It's not for you to know. I know that's like a wild thing, but what I have found is that more often than not, when gossip comes to me by way of another individual that has nothing to do with anything, it's almost always meant to stir up trouble. And honestly, if somebody does not have the emotional maturity to talk with me directly about it, I might feel hurt about that, of course. You know, it's important to validate your emotional experiences. At the same time, like if they're talking about you behind your back, it's really none of your business. And that says way more about them and their attitude and mindset and their experience than it does about you as an individual. So keep that in mind. You will find yourself loving yourself a lot more if you're able to just kind of dismiss and ignore the gossip and just kind of tune point it out and be like, it's a bummer that they wouldn't just come and talk to me directly about that. I could set the story straight or clarify things for them. But if they're not willing to do that, there's really not much you can do in that situation. Which leads me right into my next rule for self-love, and that is staying true. Stay true to yourself, true to your values, what is important to you. People are going to talk about other people no matter what. We literally have whole channels and reaction videos and movies and stuff dedicated to really just talking shit about people. It's kind of I don't know, I don't love it. It kind of makes me feel a little icky. I find often when I find myself watching some of that reality TV show, is it entertaining? Absolutely. But I find myself actually being more negative and antsy afterwards too. But what I found over and over again is that regardless of people talking badly about you or coming up with assumptions about you, if you stay true to yourself and you do not feed in to the gossip and you stay true to your values, people are going to notice that. When your actions line up with what you say about yourself over and over again, that's building integrity. And integrity is going to be noticed by the onlookers. Even if somebody in the moment is not coming to your defense, which I know is really crappy. I wish that more people would just step up and challenge some of this stuff. But even if they aren't, they're going to be watching and noticing how you respond to this. If you can respond maturely and with kindness and grace, people are going to notice that and they're going to start questioning all that shit talk that other person said about you. So staying true to yourself, it's going to improve that self-love. Now, that being said, I want to kind of backtrack a little bit to something I just said not that long ago, and it is so important to validate your automatic responses. Oh man, part of self-love is not always being gooey and kind to yourself, though that does feel nice, it does feel great. But sometimes you've got to step into the darkness. You've got to do some of the shadow work. You've got to acknowledge the icky parts about yourself. And when you can validate that that is part of your human experience too, and that is okay, you're going to feel so much better about yourself. We are not meant to be 100% angelic creatures. Wouldn't that be cool? I myself have things that I struggle with. Being able to allow yourself the time, care, and attention to acknowledge those automatic negative thoughts, those dark feelings, those icky urges that you might be experiencing. It's going to let your automatic responses know, I see you, I notice you, I hear you, and then you can make a conscientious choice whether or not you want to move forward with that automatic response or if you'd like to pivot in a different direction. You get back in the driver's seat with that. If you are looking for a little more help and guidance with that, I highly recommend that you check out the Coping Skills Crash Course. We go through a whole thing in there about how you can kind of hang in there through some of these icky, uncomfortable feelings and thoughts and urges. You've got to feel your feelings. You've got to allow yourself to experience the full breadth of all your feelings, whether they are positive, whether they are negative, whether they are uncomfortable, or maybe they are really cozy. Whatever that experience is, it's important to feel your feelings. If you do not give yourself the time and space to feel your feelings, they will come out in some other way. Trust me. It's one of the things that I drill into all my therapy clients is that you've got to acknowledge and feel your feelings if you want to improve your relationship with yourself. You can't love yourself if you're not loving all the parts of yourself and all the experiences of yourself. So it's important that if you are feeling sad, let yourself feel sad for a little bit. Don't just always push it away or push it to the side. Don't ignore it. If you're feeling anxious, it's okay to experience anxiety. It's when you try to stuff it away. It's when things like panic attacks pop up, or depressive episodes, or maybe some sort of angry outbursts. So by allowing yourself the time to feel your feelings in bite-sized pieces, you're actually going to be improving that relationship with yourself. And along the way, we know that people need people. Now, a lot of people will say things like, you have to love yourself first before anyone can love you. I don't think that's true. I know from the research that we need positive social supports and connections to heal from things like depression, from things like disconnection, from loneliness. One of the main things that we find over and over again that we call a protective factor, or something that actually improves our mental wellness and well-being, are positive social connections. As you are going through this journey of self-love for yourself, share with others your experience. Share the positive, share the negative, share all the different layers. Now, when you are sharing, of course, you want to make sure that you're not trauma dumping on anybody. If you are finding yourself constantly spilling or like needing extra assistance with that, get a therapist. They are here to help you through those episodes, and we're literally trained to listen and help support you in those moments and not make it about us. It's all about you. But also be selective that when you are sharing with other people, that they have demonstrated trustworthiness. You don't have to share everything or the whole depth of your situation. You may want to share like bite-sized nuggets here and there and see how they do with that before you share more with them. When you are able to share and receive sharing from other people, that builds trust and intimacy. The more that you are able to build trust and intimacy, the more solid and positive and healthy your social connections can be. And that is how you improve self-love. These were my top 10 rules for self-love. I hope that you enjoyed them. I would love to hear one of your top 10 rules for self-love, so include them in the comments. I'm curious if you would agree with mine, or maybe you have some different ones that you'd want to share. And if you'd like more help on your self-love journey, you can check out my video about tapping into self-love with positive affirmations right over here. Thanks for watching.